Hey everybody, welcome to my channel and to another video. Today I just want to show you guys all the books I got for my birthday. My husband took me shopping for my birthday and got me a lot of really cool secondhand books, and we also went to Edinburgh for the weekend. So I did a lot of shopping there as well, and I managed to get a lot of good things. And I just wanted to show you guys some. I'm going to start with fiction and do nonfiction later because there's a lot of nonfiction. So the first I want to show you are two historical fiction books I got by the same author, and they are Burr and Lincoln by Gore, Vidal. I've never read anything by him, but he's pretty well known in the United States, and I've always wanted to read his stuff, but have just never gotten around to it. I was just kind of reading up on him before filming this video, and the way he describes these books are how personalities affect politics, and obviously how the personalities of certain people have affected not just American politics, but also American history. So this is part of a series on American history, and the first one is Burr. It is about Aaron Burr, sir, who was vice president and also is responsible for killing Alexander Hamilton. And then the second one in the series is Lincoln, obviously about Abraham Lincoln, and I'm really excited to read these. I got these in Edinburgh for £2 each, so really just had to do it. The next one is by one of my favorite authors, and it's Heroes and Villains by Angela Carter. I love Angela Carter. She is just amazing. She's just an amazing writer, and I just have loved everything I've read by her, and I just can't help but buy her when I see her, and I just love this cover. I have a lot of books by her with this kind of cover, and it's just so creepy and absurd almost, and I'm really into her stories, so I'm looking forward to this one. The next one I got is a book of short stories by Raymond Carver called Cathedral. I actually read my first Raymond Carver this month called Will You Please Be Quiet Please, and it was a book of his short stories. That's pretty much all he writes, short stories and poems. And there's quite an interesting story about Raymond Carver where his life like oddly mirrors mine, but I think I'll talk more about that in my September wrap-up, because otherwise this video will be super long. But basically, he is considered a Sacramento literary icon, and Sacramento is my hometown. So I'm really interested in him as a person and as a writer, and was really excited to see this book at a used bookstore in Edinburgh. So I just picked it up, and I'm looking forward to getting into it at some point. The next three books I got are new books that I treated myself to for my birthday. The first is A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. I read The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet earlier this year, and I just loved it so much. It's one of those books that you finish and you just want to hug. It's just excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm obsessed with it. And I've read another book by her called To Be Taught If Fortunate, and I think that one is probably one of my favorite books ever. So I had to buy this one. It's one of those books where I'm kind of putting off reading it because I'm so excited to read it. So I don't know when I'm going to get to it. I'm hoping in the next, maybe in October, hopefully by the end of the year, because I also want to get the third book, and apparently she's coming out with the fourth book. So I'm just obsessed with this series. I think it is amazing, and it's the kind of sci-fi that I like to read. So these two are horrors that I'm looking to read next month. I'm really excited about. The first is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I've read The Lottery and We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, and I love how just creepy and atmospheric her writing is. So I'm looking forward to this one. I'm also like kind of in the mood to read a haunted house book, and I also am really wanting to watch the Netflix show. So I had to pick this one up for next month. I also got my best friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I've never read anything by Grady Hendrix, so I'm like kind of interested in it now. I really want to read that book by him it's like a horror story set in an IKEA. I just feel like that kind of just speaks to me. So I picked this up after watching a vlog by Gabby from Gabby Reads, who I just love all of her videos, and she read this for Summerween, and it just really, really made me want to pick it up. And I'm also obsessed with the cover. So I sent this cover to my best friend, Jess, and she wants to read it also, so we both got copies of it, and we are going to read it next month, and I am so stoked for it. So stoked. Speaking of spooky things, I've gotten my spooky mug out, and I'm ready for all the fall and Halloween things. Moving on to nonfiction, which there's a lot of, I picked up North American Indians by George Catlin. I think George Catlin is quite a famous like anthropologist when it comes to like Native American history and stuff, but I don't know too much about him, so I don't know if this is actually like a good book to pick up, if it's accurate, if it's an accurate history and portrayal of them. But it was cheap, so I picked it up anyways. I love to have books on American history and stuff, so I grabbed it. And one thing I like about this is the number of like pictures and pieces of art that are kind of scattered throughout. To me, that is really important when reading nonfiction. So I'm really excited about this one, but I also think I'm going to be doing some more research into him just to make sure like what I'm kind of getting into. The next book I got was The Moon, A History for the Future. I picked this one up at the Edinburgh airport. I was so excited to see this because I have had this book checked out from the library for a very long time, and I've kind of slowly been reading it because it is very scientific and a tiny bit dense, so it's just been taking me a little bit longer to read, but I've just been loving it. And The Moon has always interested me. I've always wanted to learn more about it. Initially, I picked up the library book after listening to the Moon episode. I can't remember the exact title from the podcast Ologies, which I'll link down below because it's an excellent episode. And after listening to that, I just knew that I had to learn more. So I ended up picking this up and have just been reading it slowly ever since. And I was excited to see this at the airport because it was buy one, get one half off. So, you know, I had no other choice. I had to do it. And now it's mine forever. And I'm just going to read it at my own pace and enjoy it. I also, kind of going back to what I was saying about the last book, I just love this book because it has like lots of diagrams and illustrations to just kind of be referred to while you're reading it. So I love it. And again, the cover is just amazing. The next book I got is so interesting. It's called The Nine Nations of North America by Garreau. I probably have said that wrong. So if you can see on the cover, North America has been split up into like 9 regions, and his argument is that those are like the true countries of the continent, and they are defined by culture and values. This book was written in the 80s, so I'm not sure how accurate it is anymore. But I found this at a used bookstore in Edinburgh. It didn't have a price on it, but I knew I had to have it because I'm really interested in the regional differences in the United States and how that kind of affects our politics and our history and how we interact with each other. It didn't have a price, so I took it up to the desk and I said, I want to buy this, but it doesn't have a price. And he was like, okay, let me look it up. And he's all, okay, it's 40 pounds on eBay. And I'm like, I'm not spending 40 pounds on this book. So he did some more research, and he ended up finding a copy, I think, on eBay for 18 pounds. So then he gave it to me for 15. So I don't know if it's worth 15 pounds, but I'm excited to have it. It's such a cool idea for a book. And then there's also, I don't know if you can see it, maps of the different regions that he believes that the country should be split into. Interestingly enough, my hometown, Sacramento, which I talked about earlier, is like on the border of Ecotopia and Mesoamerica. So I guess we kind of straddle both of those regions, which is interesting. So I am looking forward to reading that one. The next one I got isn't super interesting, but I picked up The Penguin History of the USA. I got this again at a used bookstore in Edinburgh, and I picked it up because it's been on my list to get, but I want to pay the full price for it. So they had it there. I picked it up. I just like having American history books at home. The next one I got is very special. It's a book that I got for my birthday from my best friend, Kiana. She got me In the Flow, a 28-day plan, working with your monthly cycle to do more and stress less. My friend Kiana is like the queen of self-care, and I really look to her for how to incorporate that into my life. She's a yoga teacher. She's just recently gone vegan, and she's just like the most inspiring, supportive friend someone can have. And she has been reading this book. She said she's been reading it slowly, but that has just really changed the way she's looked at her life. And giving herself space also. I think like me and her are both alike in that we just go, 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 go. But giving ourselves room to realize that sometimes it's okay to slow down, and sometimes that's what our body needs. So yeah, she sent me this, and I'm going to link her down below because she does online yoga, and she also does vegan recipes, and she has a travel Instagram, and she's just amazing. She's a Wonder Woman. I love her lots. The next book I got, I kind got for my husband, but I think I'm going to read it too. And it's called Lost in a Good Game, Why We Play Video Games and What They Can Do for Us. Me and my husband like clash a lot over video games because I think he plays them too much and I think they're too violent, and he thinks that that's such like an outdated opinion to have. So I'm kind of like looking forward to both of us reading this and seeing like what kind of conclusions we draw from it and what we can learn from it also. It would be funny if one of us was really wrong and the other one was really right, or vice versa. But I also love the cover, and it just looks like a good book. The next one I got is Krakatoa, The Day the World Exploded. I've been wanting a copy of this book for a long time because it's quite a famous nonfiction book. So it's just one that I've been interested in getting. It also kind of like hits all the things that I like. Like it's about natural scientists, like volcanoes and natural disasters, but also history and stuff like that. So I really do think it's going to be one that I enjoy. And it's really interesting that I got it now because just the other day I was reading the book The Ends of the World, which is about mass extinctions on Earth, and they talk about Krakatoa. So it's kind of cool to have like a book talk about it and then read a book about it. So I'm hoping to get into this book very soon. The next two books I got are just so cool. I'm just like obsessed with them, and I'm so glad I have them. The first one is Lost Worlds by Anne Terry White. I didn't necessarily buy this book to read. It's kind of an older book. I think it was published in the 40s, 1943, so it's kind of an older book. But when I first opened it, it had this on the inside, and I thought that was very cool, but still, like, I wasn't sure what it's all about. And I opened it again, and we have King Tut's, and the title page says Lost Worlds, Adventures in Archaeology. So I'm immediately interested in it. Priam's treasure, the grave of Agamemnon, a lost civilization, the palace of Minos, pharaohs and robbers, Assyria wakes up, bulls, lions, and difficulties, jungle secrets, what happened in Yucatan, Greeks of the New World, adventures inside a pyramid. Anyways, and there's just loads of pictures also, and I'm just, as I say as I flip through, and there's no pictures. So I just really liked the idea of this book, and I just love that I can add it to my collection of kind of like classic older books. The next one that I got, I just don't know how I stumbled on this, but I'm kind of obsessed with it. It's called The People's Guide to Mexico by Franz. This is like a travel guide / travel journal / cultural history of Mexico. I'm very interested in Latin American history, specifically Mexico, and my best friend and me are going to Mexico for my 30th birthday next year. So I just had to pick this up, and also it just has like the coolest cover, and it's really written like a guide that your friend would write and give to you. And I kind of read some of it after getting it, and it looks like a really fun book. I'm really excited to get into it, and I just love the illustrations also. I am really excited to have this book. I'm also really excited to go to Mexico. I have a few others. This is the last little bit though. I picked up the Medici, Godfathers of the Renaissance. I studied abroad in Florence. I'm very interested in Florentine history, especially the Medici. I think it's so interesting. And I found this book for like 50p, so I had to pick it up and would love to get into it at some point. Another book I picked up at the airport in Edinburgh is The Scottish Nation, A Modern History. It's one of those penguin books with the orange spines, which I really like, but I find them really expensive. This one is £15, but it was buy one, get one half off, so I figured then was the best time to get it. I'm very interested in Scottish history. Living here has kind of piqued my interest a bit more. So I do want to read this. It is a bit of a chunker though, and it has very small writing, so I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but I will at some point. And the next two I got were ones that I treated myself to, and they kind of go together. So the first one is Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, and I have read bits of this book, especially when I was studying for my history degree, but have never read the full thing, so I figured now is the time to do it. I love the cover, and this is just a classic. It's a classic nonfiction. It's classic American nonfiction. I am almost ashamed that I've never read the whole thing, so I want to pick this one up really fast. Also, because I picked up The Heartbeat of Wounded Knee, Native America from 1890 to the present. And this book kind of challenges the notion that Native American history ended with Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. And so this book kind of picks up from that and carries on. So I do think that there are such important books that I need to read together. So I'm so excited to have both of them and to get into it and to read more. And I've heard great things about, I mean, both of them, but especially about this one. And I find the cover so haunting and just a great representation of what the book is about. Hoping to get to these very soon and just learn more about it and see what they're all about. The next book I got is kind of special to me. When I first started getting into nonfiction, I didn't read it as much as I do now. I started out reading it very slowly. And one of the first books I picked up was Sex in the Constitution, Sex, Religion, and Law, From America's Origins to the 21st Century. And I mean, it is a book. It's not so much about sex as it is about constitutional issues that arise around sex. So we're talking like porn, gay marriage, anything that has to do with the umbrella term sex, this book deals with. And it's also like a timeline of history. So I got about halfway through this book when I initially picked it up from the library, but then I moved here and I ended up I had to return it before I could finish it. And it's always been on my mind because it's just like everything I love from a history book. It's a tiny bit dry, it is informative, it is about something that I'm very interested in, and I just didn't have a chance to finish it. So this was on sale on Book Depository for, I think, £11, and I'm just looking here, and it says it's new, and it's new, but to sell new, it sells for $35 in the States. So I feel like I got such a good deal, and I'm just like so excited to finally have this book again, and to actually finish it. And I also, again, this is like a common theme, just really, really love the cover of it. So yeah, this is like all my political interests in one book. Kind of a nerd for it, so really interested in that. Speaking of politics, I got My Own Words by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I found out that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on my birthday, and she actually died the day before my birthday, but because I'm behind, or because I'm ahead in hours, it was on my birthday, and it really upset me, and I feel like I'm still grieving for her in a sense, and she's always been like my political icon, role model, whatever you want to call it, and she's just an amazing woman, I think. And I picked this one up almost immediately after finding out that she had passed. I have read, I think, 2 other books about her, but I just felt like now was the time to have this one, especially like My Own Words, and really, really experience how she specifically viewed the world and her role in it. And I'm so sad. I'm so sad about it. And like the sadness has not gone away. I mean, like paired with everything else that's going on, it's just, just one other thing, right? Thank you, 2020. So yeah, I picked that one up. And then while I was in Edinburgh, I went into Forbidden Planet. I was hoping to get some manga, but they didn't have what I wanted. But I did end up finding Ruth Bader Ginsburg's Pop, and it was on sale for £3, so I bought it, and it's just like, I'm just so sad she's not in the world anymore, but I'm so happy that I'm able to have these 2 little bits of her, even if one is an action figure. The last book, finally, that I picked up is Pompeii, The Life of a Roman Town by Mary Beard. I really like Mary Beard. She's a classical historian here in the UK, and she kind of came onto my radar while I was working at the British Museum. They sold a lot of her books there because she's very accessible, and she talks about, obviously, a lot of things that the British Museum deals with. And she actually just became the newest member of the Board of Trustees at the museum, which is just so exciting. And unfortunately, I had to leave the museum before she came in, and I would have loved to have met her. But I got this book at a used bookstore in Edinburgh, and I am just so interested in Pompeii. I visited years ago with my mom, and it was like pouring rain that weekend, and we just had the whole place to ourselves, and it was just such an experience. And so I'm particularly interested in this book, and I just can't wait to see what it's all about. I just heard that she's an amazing writer, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. That was all of the books I got for my birthday, and I just have to say that it's not even all the books I got this month, just the ones around my birthday time, or specifically for my birthday. And I'm expecting even more because my mom is buying me some. So I think I'm for my mom, I'm going to ask for those hardback nonfictions that are really expensive that I can't ever justify buying for myself. So I think that I'm going to get some more of those, some more books coming soon. I just don't know when. But yeah, I loved the haul I got. I feel like I got all those, I have so many nonfiction books that have always been on my mind that I've always wanted to have but never really had a chance. I don't buy that much nonfiction. I prefer to get it from the library. So it's really cool to have like books about Native American history or American history, just to have them on the shelf to read when I want to read them. So I'm so happy. It was a great birthday. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books or if any of them interest you, or if you have any recommendations for any of the topics that I talked about. Let me know if anything stood out to you. I would love to hear from you. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.